Okay, this is David Moss with BIC Trikes. Today I'm going to show how to build the brackets on one of these CTX Honda 700s. They're the automatic transmission dual clutch bike, 700cc. First thing you're going to notice is you do have to tear this bike down. So there's this cover here you got to take off. I had taken all this off, but I have to put it back on because I got to build the back brackets off of that. But on the front, the reason why you got to take this off, it covers where we're going to make our first bracket. And the way I make this bracket is pretty simple. It's an 1.5 inch piece of 1/4 inch metal that you have to bend. You'll notice you have to bend it on both sides so it clears this right here. And then what I do to make sure it can't move is I'll put a piece of metal here, and then I'll cut it out so it fits it perfectly, and then I'll weld it. And does two things. That makes it where this doesn't move, and it stiffens that bend I put in there. It stiffens that bend up, makes it permanent, so it doesn't bend back or have a weaken where I bent it at. It's not so weak, so it stiffens it up. So you put that on there just like that, and you can see that's welded on. And then I'll put a piece of metal here that'll come out, and that's where it's going to hook to the front of it. Now on the back on this one, they've already got this. It's like a saddlebag bracket they had custom made. I'm going to use this. On the irregular ones, if you watch my other, you'll take these things, you'll have to have, if you don't have a saddlebag bracket holder for the back end like this, then you have to go buy it. It's usually $150, I think it is, for the kit that will put these, and make it, we can put these on. It's got a bracket, it's got the hose. So you'll put that in. It's on another video talking about, won't be able to show that. But once you do that, then you can, I built my last one, I built an angle iron and made it where it came down. It was closer to the frame, but this one's already got this. So we're just going to drill some holes in this and run our angle iron down at the back. Okay, so now I want to show you how I get my build my bracket. We've already talked about this piece here. We've already got it done. So what I do is I get a 1.25 inch square tube I'm going to use, and it's going to be way too long. Doesn't matter. All I'm trying to do is get the length between this and this here. So I'll put it on there and I'll level it. As you can see, it's level that way. It's level that way. And the reason for that is I'm just that way. I like to have it level. Then I'll take my tape measure and I will measure back here. Now with these bending, they'll have a gap at the top. It's not a big deal. I'll fill that in. You can put a shim in there if you want to, if you're not getting enough water, or you can just weld it in. And then I'm going to take this and go down like this, and you can see, if I can get it to focus, 6.5. So I'll cut it 6 1/4, because I'm going to put my 1/4 inch flat stock on there, and then that's how I'm going to do that. Then I will measure from the bottom of this here up to it. Now I've already cut this one down, as you can see. Now here's how I get my length to go from here up. I just simply take this, I put it where it's going to land, and I can't do this with the camera, so I'm just going to explain it. But I will put this right here where it lands, and I'll put a level on it. And then I will measure from the bottom of the thing up to that right there, and that's how long I want the one going down and up. And then I'll cap it, and then I'll drill a hole in it, and etc. We'll show that. So once again, this here was cut to 6 1/4. Now that's how long it was from this to the where we had it there. I had that pipe on. So then we're going to cut this 6 1/4. We've already done that. And then we're going to basically take one of these. I'll make these. And I'm going to put it in it like that. And then we weld it in. And then that way we can have something to bolt to. And then we'll go with the second part after this. So just let you know how you're doing that. Okay, so now you can see this was the 6.5 that I made 6 1/4, because we're adding a 1/4 inch. We added that and then tacked it in. We're going to weld it up in a minute. And then I already measured, like I told you, and ended up being 10 inches. So I take 1/8 of an inch off the 10 inches. I'm going to put an 1/8 of an inch cap, and you can see Now this cap doesn't have to be perfectly on there because we're going to weld it all the way around, grind it down and make it look good. But this is where we're at right now. And then we're going to take the two and we'll show that we put this in here, and we'll mark it with some spray and then drill it on my drill mill. So we'll get back to that. So I'm going to weld these out real quick and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now I've already done the cap. I've grinded it down to make it smooth like that. So this is the one that's going to be setting up. And then, as you can see, we welded this completely, let it cool down. And now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to drill the hole. And basically, where the line is, I don't drill through that. So I turn it sideways from there, as you can see. And then I'm just going to take this to give you an idea, and I'm going to turn it the way I want it to have it on there. And then I will spray some spray paint, believe it or not, right here. Just any cheap spray paint. Spray it in there, and it's going to mark my hole. It's going to mark where I need to be the hole at. So that's how I mark it. And then I just bring it over to my mill drill, and my mini mill, and then I'll just drill it out. So that's how I do that, and then we'll show what the finished product looks like. Okay, as you can see, right there, that black, that right there is for me marking, just spraying some paint through the tube, and it marks it perfectly. I put it in the fixture, and then you can do your fine adjusting. Well, I do anyway. And then I'm just going to drill that through both sides. And once I drill it through both sides, this part's done. Then I'll take a bolt and bolt it up, and we'll go from there. Okay, I wanted to show this. So what I do is I take this and I just get it to where it's going to be, and then I mark it. And the reason why I mark at the bottom is because I'm going to grind that down. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to get up against this weld right here. Now, I showed on another video, because it needed to be back a little bit, you can put a spacer here, but you want it to be against two places, so it's super strong, won't go nowhere. So I just simply do that, and then when I put this in, I'll clamp it. I'll just slide it right up against there like that, right like that, and it will clamp, and then that will be it. So I just wanted to show you that, and we're going to clamp it, and then we'll go from there and show you how to tack it up. So now I've got it clamped in, and you're going to notice that I want to make sure this clears. I want the peg to go up, so you make sure that clears first, and then you want to make sure that you're just a little bit higher. It is just a little bit higher than that is. That way they can use this as to put the heel on, but they want their main foot to be higher than this. You don't want your back of your foot tagging that and not being able to have feet out too far. And then I've clamped it. It's ready to tack. And then I go ahead, and it's just me, I'll level this just to give you an idea. Just because that's how I like it. I level that. Now this right here is not perfectly level. As you can see, it doesn't hurt anything. It's off just a little bit. To get it, this is perfectly level, and this is level. So sometimes when you weld this little weld might be off a little bit, and kink it. If it does, it's not going to hurt anything. So as you can see, it's not very much, it's just off. Or when you cut it with a saw, it doesn't cut it perfectly square, is what it boils down to. But it doesn't hurt anything. I'm going to leave it like that, because I'm not, if I did this, I'd have to space the bottom. I like the idea of being completely up against this thing all the way around. And then I'm going to tack it, and I'm going to tack up here, and then down there, and then tack down here. And I'll show you what that looks like. So I've already done it on this other side. So basically, I've tacked this one and I've welded it. I've not welded out. We'll take these off once you get, but what I'll do is I'll tack, and then come down over here and tack. So I want 4 tacks to hold it, and then I'll come up here and I'll tack 4 tacks. Then, with this covered, if it's on the exhaust side, and I've got some anti-spatter I'll spray on other things to keep me from having to worry about the spatter hitting anything, I will weld it across the top here to get a solid weld, and then I will weld this down here solid. And the reason for that is because if you tack it and you just take it off tack and you move it over there and you weld it, they can move. This here, once it cools down, which you can see is cool to death, gives me less movement. So as I weld it across here, it's more solid, and you can see this is solid. This here, I won't finish welding this up until I pull this whole thing off and I weld all the places I didn't weld at. So this is still solid enough. It's actually holding on its own weight, as you can see. And then my level is right in there, and she's level. And then you can see both ends So that's what it's going to look like. And that's the front brackets. So I'm going to go ahead and tack that one up, then pull the brackets off on the here. This is the reason why I haven't put everything back together. We'll pull this off here, and then we'll weld it out. And then bring it back, bolt it up, and see where we're at. Make sure we're still level, because sometimes things can move a little bit. If it does, we have to do any modifying. We do it. You can have up to a 1/16 of an inch movement. It doesn't hurt anything as far as that goes. It can tilt, you know, it's not gonna hurt anything. So make sure that we're still within our parameters, and then our tolerances, and then we weld the whole thing out. And that's pretty much it on the front ones. Now, like I said, the back one's gonna be like every other one you've seen, except this has already got this. So I'm gonna drill holes in it, and from the back side, I'm gonna run that 1.5" angle iron that will come straight down, and then I'll have it hook up down here. This is the customer had custom made, because he didn't want to spend the money to get the brackets that they want for their saddlebags. So he just took it to a place, had his angle, and they had the distance and such, and they made it for him. They basically laser cutted it and bent it, and it's solid. It's 1/4 inch thick. Looks really good. Works pretty good. So we're going to use it. If you don't have this on this kind of bike, and you don't have anything but the plastic piece right here, you have to buy, it's $150, the bracket setup for your saddlebags, or for this thing here. What I mean by that is, inside there's 2 holes. They'll give you spacers, and they got bolts, and you bolt these things in. They come over here, so you'll take the plastic completely off, which you have to anyway, and you'll put the bolts in. And I have that other video, and you can kind of see I did a triangle thing and then made it come down off here. But that will be the fun part for you to figure out. It was interesting. If you look at my other video, the CTX 700, the first one we did, I do show the bracket that I built back there. It's custom. So however you need to do it, if you need to take it somewhere and just simply get it laser cut and bent, you can do that. Have it completely custom built. It went back like this, which I like, because it allows me to come down straight and be farther back on the frame. The one I built, I came at a tilt and to get farther back on the frame, but nevertheless. So this is how we build our brackets, and we've got this pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and weld it out, and then we'll go from there. Now these are welded out, as you can see, and they're hot and they're cooling down. So this is what it's going to look like. Now you'll notice on the back side, I got one that just has a weld on the back, and then one that has 2. The reason why for that is because these are just the bar, you can accidentally put them on the wrong side. So I always, just to make sure I don't have to worry about messing that, wondering why things ain't lining up like they should. If it looks like it can be used for both sides, like these are, then I will put 1 dot for right, 2 dots for left. And I actually learned that from my factory job I had at NHK Seating. We had pans that could be right or left, but there was very little to tell the difference. And so they would simply put 1 dot, 2 dots. So 1 dot's always right, 2 dots always left. So that's how I know which one's which. When it gets powder coated, brings it back. First thing we'll remember is 1 dot goes on the right side, face the bike, and the other one goes on the left side. So just to let you know, that's how I run that. And we're going to put these on as soon as they cool down. We'll go from there. Now we've got them welded up and bolted down. But one thing you want to make sure is once you get it welded up and you put it back, that you are level. Let me see that again. There you go. That you are level. Now you can be a little bit off, this way. And the reason why on some of them I do that is because the road curves down. So sometimes I'll have it just a little bit touching the line, no farther than that. But most of the time I just like it perfectly level. Runs out really well that way. So no complaints. But it's all done there. So now all we're going to do is build the back angle iron. It's going to come down and bracket up on both sides. Then once we get that done, she's done with the bracketing, and then we'll build the fenders and such. And this one here is special because it's a gentleman that lost his legs, so he can't ride it. Hasn't been able to ride it for the last 4 years, I think he said, because doesn't have any legs. So we're going to make it to where his wheelchair will be able to. He'll get on it, and he's got a wheelchair he gave me, and I'm going to make it to where it will latch just like we did on that Super Cub, except we're not going to put it on the back end, we'll put it on the side, but we made it where his walker he could have with him at all times. Well, this one here, he's going to be able to have his wheelchair pop it out, get on his wheelchair, then climb himself up, put the wheelchair up on here. That's the plan. So we're going to be building that. We'll show that in another video once we get it completely done. So now I'm just going to do the back brackets and we'll go from there. Okay, here we are on the back end of it, and like you can see, I measured it 20 inches. You can be less up this way if you want to down, but on this particular bracket, I went 20 inches. It levels it on both sides. I clamped it. Now you could scoot this back, tilt it, but I'm thinking on this one I want to go straight because then it even makes it stronger. Because what this does, it isn't about this going this way, it's up and down. So this will make it even stronger. So, and then the back end doesn't look too bad, you can tell. And I'll roll those, these right here, I'll grind them so they come down and doesn't have that point. And they'll look pretty decent. But that's how it is, and it just misses the exhaust, just misses it as far as where the gas is blowing, so it should be fine. Like I said, one thing you could do, you could always scoot it back, have it like that. And I haven't decided for sure, but I think the best way for me on this one is just straight up. It's just gonna be easier. So I'm gonna mark where I want my hose at, and then I'm gonna take each one of these off, drill the hose, put them back on here, and then mark on that where the hose are, go and drill those. So I can have this done, put the bolts in it, and then we'll show what it looks like. Okay, so I went and marked it. I drilled my hose, 1, 2, 3. I bolted it up. I round that off. And the bottom part, and you'll notice I went ahead and drilled my hole for this right here, and I bolted up. The reason why is because then I just measured from here to there, and that's my measurement. I put it in there, and I tack it all up, pull it off, weld it out, bring it back, then tack it here and weld it out. So that's how we do that. And you can see how it is on both sides and what it's going to look like. And it's still level. You always check your level. You always double check everything. You don't want to be off level or out of square, where the tires out differently. And there you go. And even these here are pretty level. I was really surprised about how level they are when it comes to it. So it makes it easier on me. As you can see, it's pretty decent. I mean, not absolutely perfect, but really good between the lines. That's all I care about. So now I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to measure from here to here. Go cut out 1 1/4 square tubing, put it on there and tack it up, and then we'll weld it out and we'll show what that looks like. Okay, as you can see, we put there, and I tacked 3 tacks. Did not weld anything on this side, not tacking it. I'm gonna pull this off now, and then I'm gonna weld it out. Same thing for that side. Then we bring them back, and then we'll tack these in, weld across, run a downhill on the back end of those, and that way we've got it where we want it. So we'll show what that looks like. Okay, now we got it finished. So as you can see, she's welded up, bolted in, welded up, bolted in, and don't know if I can get far enough away, but solid as can be. So that's how you build the brackets on a 2015 or any of the CTX 700s. Pretty much all the same. Once again, bracketed, then bracketed back there. And this is for our DIY shippable kit. So you buy one of our DIY shippable kits, it will have this complete setup. Even the modified one will still be bracketed the same. It just have a different little suspension. But so you'll end up getting that in the mail if you order it with the suspension. And you just follow this how we build the brackets, and you build your own brackets. Then once you get done with this, pull apart, powder coat it, paint it, whatever you want to do. Then bring it back and bolt it up. Then you put this all back together. So don't put the bike back together before you get it painted and such, because then you're just going to take it right back apart. But that's pretty much it. And then of course you can build the fender brackets and black plastic fenders. If you buy the black plastic fenders from us, we give you a video on how to build the fender brackets. So just to let you know, our black plastic fenders are $100 shipped to you. But really nice looking bike, came out really good. And like I said, this one you're going to look out for, because we're going to do a wheelchair hookup, so he can put his wheelchair on it, drive the thing around, pull his wheelchair out, and be able to have more mobility. And that's the whole point. That's why he wanted this automatic bike. So this is David Moss with BIC Trikes. I appreciate everybody that watch. If you like, hit like, comment. We appreciate all the comments that we get. You can check out our website, bictrikes.com. That's where our price list is. And once again, this is for the DIY, do-it-yourself shippable kits. All shippable kits are do-it-yourselves. We cannot build one if we don't have one to build. And then the price list that we have is for you bring it to us and we build it for you. And so just remember that and give us a call at 765-242-6651 if you have any questions or want to place an order. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. BIC stands for Brothers in Christ, where Jesus Christ gets all the glory. Thank you so much, and God bless.